Hey there, hi there, ho there. Welcome to another episode of Comic Book 101 TV. I screwed up my own intro, guys. You act like I've been doing this 13 episodes or something.
A little bit.
13 now?
Yeah, we're on issue number 13, Michael.
Lucky 13.
Yeah, I know. I'm thoroughly surprised, and I can't believe it myself. But here we are, 13 issues in. We have our wonderful co-host for the evening, one and only Mr. Mark Muncy, joining us again.
Hi, all doing?
And of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you could have been anywhere else in the world today, you decided to be here with us at Comic Book 101 TV. So we thank you, each and every one of you who are joining us. Now, as always, I am your wonderful, beautiful, prettiful host, the one and only Princess of Weird himself, Josh Johnson, and to my left,
Michael Stanley cosplaying Tampa Bay. I'm just waiting for this to load so
Mike?
I can start sharing it. I'm on.
He's not hearing you, so
No, I'm on.
he says he's on.
Uh-oh.
So are we good? Can you hear him now? Talk, Michael.
I'm here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to continue on. Once again, Mr. Mark Muncy joining us from EERIE Travels and EerieFlorida.com. He has written a couple amazing books out there. We will talk about them in just a quick second. But first, we want to talk about our wonderful friends over at YANCY Street Comics. That's right, our good friends over at YANCY Street. Even though all of the comic books have been kind of put on hold for a little bit while, you can still head over to their Facebook page, visit their eBay store, and tell them Comic Book 101 TV sent you. I don't know if they'll give you any kind of discount or anything, but they'll at least appreciate the fact that our viewers are going over there and purchasing items. Isn't that right, Mr. Michael?
Yes, it is. I haven't been there yet this week. I haven't picked up anything, actually.
Yeah, nobody has, because everything is kind of shut
I
down.
haven't even called them to order anything.
Yeah, so there is a lot of ways, like we said weeks and weeks ago, that you're still ways to order your comic books. We're still finding ways to get our toys and comic books in. They might not be the newest of the new, but it's still enough to keep us going each and every week, like we hope it's keeping you going each and every week. I know the boredom has been setting in a lot of places.
Oh, yeah.
So the comics definitely help. The toys definitely help. I know I've spent a lot of time just looking at toys I want to purchase when I got money coming in. I got, some collections I'm trying to fill out.
I've been buying toys I shouldn't be.
We'll get
I'm
into that.
bored on the computer. I'm like, oh, let's go here.
And why aren't you buying me toys? You could have bought me a Transformer or something, man. I mean, come on now.
I'm not dating you. I ain't buying you anything.
That's not right. It's just not right. But let's get to Mr. Mark Muncy's books, EERIE, Florida. What can you tell us about them there, Mark?
They're the myths, monsters, and legends of Florida. They are the travel guides to the dark side of the Sunshine State. EERIE, Florida was
Like
our
my
first
friends?
one. Yeah, like anything you can find. So just like very much Gravity Falls. They're like the journals.
No, I'm just talking about my friends normally.
Oh, okay,
all
well,
the
that's true too. But,
weird, dark, and horrible creatures I hang out with when I'm not at the show.
They're travel guides to the dark side of the Sunshine State. They go from the Panhandle down to the Keys. Each book. It was EERIE, Florida was our bestseller. Freaky Florida, and then Creepy Florida is our newest one, which is all ghosts all the time. We ran a haunted house for 20 years, and we base it on local lore and legends. So that's even our older books are available still through that.
And you can, of course, get those at EerieFlorida.com. A wonderful website, and you can send this man a lovely little message. Tell him Comic Book 101 TV sent you, and that you'd, like a nice little autograph in your recently purchased book, which this man will gladly do for you. He did it for this man right over here.
I got a couple books now.
Yeah, and all of them autographed, aren't they?
And then my lovely wife, talented wife, she does the illustrator, so she draws a little doodle in there for a small extra fee. And if you, a little even more extra, you can get the lovely Elizabeth Abbott, our manager and editor, to throw something in there too. So.
Well, there you go. A lot of good reasons to go over to EerieFlorida.com, pick up one of their amazing books, and be sure to be on the lookout for EERIE Travels when it comes to WeBeam TV in the next few months.
Yeah, once this travel stuff starts getting a little easier, we'll bring it right back. We've already filmed quite a bit, and we can't wait to show it to you. So.
And of course, the producer on this show, the wonderful Rob, is also producing on your show as well.
Yeah.
He helps produce a lot of things at WeBeam TV. So thank you, Rob, for helping us out with all of this mess, because we could not do it without you. Speaking of things we cannot
Right
do.
off the back, Moshi says hi.
Hi, Moshi. Thank you for tuning in this week. One thing that we do got to talk about this week is last week it was asked of us, what is the difference between Swamp Thing and the Man-Thing? Now, we didn't really want to get into it last week because we were talking all about Howard the Duck, but we felt that this week would be a great time. It gave us an entire week to go and study. So what did you guys learn?
that they were invented the same month, and that
By roommates.
By roommates. Stan Lee came up to one of the guys and said, "Hey, let's make a swamp monster."
It was Roy Thomas.
Roy Thomas. And at the same time, DC was doing another anthology series, and the roommates suddenly came up with these very similar stories about scientists who get killed and wind up in a swamp and come back as monsters.
And of course,
couldn't be a little...
Len Wein was the guy who would create Swamp Thing. He would also write an issue for Man-Thing that never saw the light of day. It got retooled a little bit to be issue number 2-ish of the Swamp Thing series. Now, the big question is, what is the difference between these two characters? Because obviously they are both created around the same time of each other. They are both creatures of the swamp and the muck. So what is the difference?
Well, the big thing is Swamp Thing can talk and has the human personality still.
And there are multiple individuals who have been the Swamp Thing.
Right.
Like, Swamp Thing is more of a title than it is a single individual person, where the Man-Thing is just one technical
entity.
person.
Yeah.
Not really a person, was a person at one point, now just the entity known as the giant-sized Man-Thing. Now, another big thing is with Swamp Thing is you can get into a physical fight with Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to get into a fight with Swamp Thing. Superman's done it, Batman's done it, Doomsday's done it. Everybody's kind of done it at some point, because he is the protector of the green, is the Swamp Thing. But with Man-Thing, he's not really the kind of guy you want to get into a street fight with, right, Michael?
Not really.
Yeah, he's the protector of the nexus of all realities, which is down here in Florida, apparently, somewhere in the
right
Everglades.
in the Florida Everglades.
And where all the universes collide and everybody's trying to take it over, all the different empires and stuff, and he's the thing that stops it. Although they don't really show that much in the comics at all. They never really even get into that much in the comics.
It's
But
in there a little bit.
He doesn't talk. He doesn't have an internal monologue. So it's usually the characters around him who has to progress the story.
Another big thing with the Man-Thing is if you're getting into a fight with him, the two big things you're going to have to worry about is, one, his stare, because that's going to instill a great fear into you. And then once that fear is into you, the moment he touches you, his paws start flapping on your skin or something, you start combusting into flames, and next thing you know, you're
on fire.
You're Chris Evans pre-Captain America.
It's very
big,
came out
giant
around that
human
same
flame.
era as Ghost Rider and a lot of the other horror comics were starting to make a rebound.
That's one of the other things is Man-Thing deals with a lot more horror elements, where Swamp Thing is just kind of a man of science. He deals with way more
eco-terrorism and stuff like that. Especially when both of them have had some movies and some specials.
Yeah, like there's been way more done on Swamp Thing thanks to
yeah.
Warner Brothers and the way they own and operate their creations, as opposed to Marvel with Man-Thing, because just a few years ago they just did a Man-Thing show.
Yeah, for Sci-Fi Channel.
And it didn't even go over that well, but meanwhile, DC did another Swamp Thing, and that didn't go over either too well. But I actually enjoy the guy that played Swamp Thing in the newer incarnation.
The one back in the late 80s.
Yeah, I did audio on that show a long time ago, and my friend John Bortles was a prop master on it. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was in the 90s, and producer Rob worked on that show.
Yeah, Rob worked on it too. That's where
Swamp
Rob and I...
Thing officially approves of Comic Book 101 TV, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But another thing that we can go into is the fact that even though these two comics were created around the same time of each other, within the matter of a few months it was, because we would see House of Secrets 92 in July 1971, and then in May 1971, right before that, we would get this Savage Tales comic that would feature the first ever appearance of Man-Thing. So Man-Thing is the one on the, let's say, rightish, and Swamp Thing is the one on the leftish, depending on your viewpoint and how you're looking at this right now. Man-Thing might be on your left, Swamp Thing might be on your right.
Savage Tales is Man-Thing, House of Secrets is Swamp Thing.
But yes, that is the very first appearances of both characters, and from there they would both equally take two different journeys, two different trails of comicdom, because once again we have the image of what the two characters look like as well, two entirely different looks to the characters, where Swamp Thing has a more humanoid like presence. The giant-sized Man-Thing, I would almost like to say, it looks a little bit more Cthulhu-like at times with the way the appendages come off of the face.
A little bit of Mothman going there too,
yeah,
with the glowing red eyes and all that.
So it is definitely something to check out. That, to us, is the big difference between the two characters, between Swamp Thing, between Man-Thing, because with the two of them, once again, very similar characters from two very similar companies, but they are two different characters entirely. There you see Man-Thing on the leftish, rightish, and Swamp Thing on the rightish, leftish, depending on how you are viewing this right now. But as you can see, the more humanoid one is the Swamp Thing. The one reaching at you is the giant-sized Man-Thing.
And again, it's like the dark side.
And if you're lying on your side, one's on the top, one's on the bottom.
If your phone's flipped, like mine always is, and I can't seem to get it right alignment.
But there you can see a big difference between the two just based off of visual. Yeah, they're both swamp creatures to a degree and come from, And another thing that is similar to them is neither one of them can die.
Right.
They each get reborn into their muck, if you will.
Yeah, they just get oozed into the plants and all that around them and come back and reconstitute themselves.
So our producer, Rob, actually asked me, what about We'd Be Gone? And
there's been some villains who've tried that stuff on them. And
you'd be surprised.
I remember it was big in the 70s.
You know who would definitely beat Man-Thing and Swamp Thing? Instantly. They're not even a fight.
Poison Ivy.
No, Redman and Method Man. Yeah.
That would be
Up
good.
in smoke.
I could see that.
Yep. Snoop Dogg get in there. That you add me, Snoop Dogg, Redman, Method Man, and Rob. I don't think anybody's surviving this. At least not a Swamp Thing or a Man-Thing.
No, but there will definitely be this cloud of vapor hanging over the swamp. So
gorillas in the mist, if you will.
Swamp gas. It'd be swamp gas, and we'd have UFO sightings.
Yes, definitely. I'd definitely be seeing a UFO, a green alien, a lot of crazy stuff. Maybe even one of those crazy little.
And maybe even the Men in Black would come, and
maybe even a woman who would say yes. So. That's what I'm looking forward to. Nevertheless, we're going to move on to our new comic books of the week. That's right. We're still picking up brand new comics, even though the comic stores aren't running and operational the way they normally are. For this particular week, I happened to go and dig deep into the bin of the back catalogs. I read 2 full-on storylines, each of them with 8 issues apiece. The first one I would read is Batman, the White Knight. And boy, howdy, was this an amazing story, ladies and gentlemen. This is the one time you will ever hear somebody state that the Joker was better at protecting Gotham City than the Batman. And in this particular comic, Jack Napier, better known as the Joker in this instance, gets a sanity back. And one of the first things he decides to do with that is he's realized that the threat to Gotham City this entire time hasn't been the Joker, hasn't been Bane, hasn't been all these supervillains, if you will. It's actually Batman himself and the government of Gotham City that's kind of put in charge of everything. Because they have this insurance policy that is off of the Batman. So if Batman shows up and starts attacking things, well, the government gets a payout, people get payouts off of it because they know Batman's going to go in there and attack things. So he usually goes into the poorest of neighborhoods of Backport, which goes through a lot of different names and a lot of different tellings in the different Batman comics, but it is always predominantly the poorer end of society in Gotham City. And Jack Napier goes there to be a champion of the people. He becomes an elected official for them.
And a councilman or something, right?
Yeah, and by the end of the book, you actually go and find out Harley Quinn, the original Harley Quinn, not Neo Joker, because I know you've got that confused look on your face there.
No.
So Harley Quinn left the Joker a while ago. And then a new woman took her place without the Joker ever even realizing it. And then when the Joker eventually gained his sanity, would propose to Harley Quinn, and she would snap on him like, no, this isn't you, blah, 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 blah. The actual Harley Quinn shows up to be like, I've waited my entire life for this, and this is how it's going down. And then you find out at the end of the book that the original Harley Quinn was the reason for the entire story. She's actually the White Knight of Gotham because she figured out a way to get the Joker sane for long enough to help make things better in Gotham City. Great story. I cannot say enough great things about the White Knight storyline. Highly recommended for you all to check out. Each issue was better than the last with this one. And once again, it deals with a Joker who is absolutely sane and takes out Batman in the simplest, easiest way that anyone ever could, and with bureaucracy. So, Michael, what would be your first book of the week?
So my first one was, actually, let me go ahead and pull it up.
Nope, that's not the first one.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, Dark Knight Metal on mine. On my paper, it says it.
Yeah, but you also have the wrong script.
That's the only one I got.
Dun, dun.
All right, so
Live
the
shows, ladies
Batman
and
wedding. There we go. There.
Yeah.
It's not going to stand too good. But it's a Batman wedding one. Batman and Selena Kyle get married. Bruce and Selena finally.
They attempt to get
They
married.
almost.
Yeah.
That close to getting married, but unfortunately, a good old clown prince of crime shows up and
Puts a little damper
Damper.
on two things.
Now, there's some news about this today just got out that there's a follow-up to this story.
well, there are a
That
lot of follow-ups to stories.
Selena has a special prize from their wedding, pre-wedding nuptials, that they're expecting a child.
Oh, really? So he's
Or
gonna
that baby.
He's going to have a bat baby and a cat
amazing.
baby.
Or
Let's
cat
screw up
baby,
another
little
life
kitten.
and give it to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You would figure the writers of Batman after a while would just be like, we got to stop giving him kids.
Well, they used the whole reason that they canceled the wedding was they didn't want to have any DC characters get married. But then, like that same month, 2 other people got married, and it was also, and then there was the big. They didn't want Cassandra Batwoman to get married
Yeah.
in a lesbian relationship, and they were getting some flack for that. They're like, well, nobody's gonna get married. But then Aquaman got married like that same month.
It's like anybody ever pays attention
Yeah,
to
exactly,
Aquaman.
and all
Nobody
that.
cares about
But
him.
Unless he's using
but
the
it's okay if he
Superman
has a
punch
baby.
to win the WWE title.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about Roman Reigns.
But now they're
Aquaman.
okay that he's now they're okay with he's having a baby. But we'll
Yeah.
see how that goes. But that,
Yeah, no, like,
they
this is my-
that just came out.
This is my
morning.
whole point about it, because they kind of bring this up in the White Knight series that I read, is the fact that Bruce Wayne is the type of individual who should not be a parent. He
No,
is
he
torturing these kids and into a life
Damien.
of criminal activity that they should not be a part of. Like, let's be real. Name a Robin, any of them, that is a perfectly sane individual and was better off being with Batman. You
Don't
can't.
make a joke, Jason Todd, but we know where that
Yeah,
went.
we know where that went.
We know where that one
Even
went.
my favorite, Dick Grayson, who has been with Zatanna, Harley Quinn, Batgirl, freaking Starfire,
He's just
is
a man
not
lord.
even like he's not even morally right to a degree. Like at some point, like look at his last kid, Damian Wayne. Like that should have been the ever indication of like maybe stop giving Bruce Wayne children. Like we've reached
What
our
about the
point.
girl? He didn't do too bad with her.
Really? You're gonna go there with that one? I mean, there's certain topics we're not able to bring up on this show that happen in comic books that I'm pretty sure would have happened to
No,
that
I know.
poor girl. But we're gonna move on to Mark's comic of the week that he brought for us.
Oh,
What'd
yeah.
you bring for us, Mark?
I dug into my classics. It was one I'd been wanting to read for a little while. I had every Halloween I read A Night in the Lonesome October by Zelazny, which is just a great little book, and it's about different animals that are familiars to the different monsters. But it reminded me so much of this one, Beasts of Burden, Animal Rights, Evan Dorkin and Jill Thompson. This is a collection of their early issues. It's amazing. It's dogs and one cat fighting paranormal monsters in this.
Dogs and a cat living with each other. Mass hysteria.
And that's the whole point. The cat is which is familiar, so they don't trust it. They become members of the Wise Dogs, which is kind of a whole thing that protects the world from monsters. It's incredible. You'll just love it. They did a Hellboy crossover. Which was because this was so popular at its time. But it's one of those ones you just got to pick it up. The art's amazing. The collection's incredible. They've done a couple. They're bringing it back. They've done some recent issues, but the originals they stand the test of time. It was just classic fun and spooky. Great legends, great folklore. Loved every second of it. So,
And that was Beasts of Burden. I believe there's another part of that title, but Beasts of
Rights.
Burden, Animal Rights. A very unique book, to say the least. Follows a lot of mass hysteria, apparently.
it's pretty good. There's a guy. One of the dogs gets bit by a werewolf. And is turning. And then there's some great ghosts, monsters. Very Lovecraftian. Some of the demons and stuff. It's dark.
Definitely need to
It
check
is
this one
definitely a dark comic.
And there's more than one book to this.
Oh yeah, they've done, like I said, they've just done a second collection because they did it very sporadically. Evan and Jill, they do stuff very sporadically, and like their Eltingville Club, which if you like nerds arguing about nerdy things, that's a great. I think they even did a pilot for it for Adult Swim at one point. But
We do a show like that every week. It's called Nerd Talk.
Nerd Talk, exactly. I think the first issue was called "Bring Me the Head of Boba Fett," and they're arguing over.
Why are you going to
a
want the head of Boba
They're
Fett?
arguing over one of the original '77 giant Boba Fett figures and in the packaging and who can afford it, and none of these kids can afford it. But
Yeah,
it's the whole
obviously.
argument. But they do a trivia off for it, and it's nerd nirvana.
Well,
It's
let's
fun.
get into my next book of the week, because I continued the theme, and I started reading the second half of this, which was Batman, The Curse of the White Knight. And this one was the secondary story of it takes place about only a few days to week after the events of White Knight. And in this story, Azrael makes his return, well, his appearance for the first time in this continuity, because this does take place in a different Earth of the multiverse in DC Comics. And you see, with this particular book, Harley Quinn has twins. So she gets a boy and a girl this time, not two girls,
not D&D.
not the DDs.
But she was a grandma of them. So
Yes.
to be fair.
But they have twins. And a lot of this book deals more so with Batman coming to terms with who he is in this new society and how Azrael is going to change that. And obviously with everything that Jack Napier did in the first book, with starting like the whole getting everybody to kind of look at the Batman in a new light and stuff like that, really plays heavily on this one. Like, I loved the White Knight for first issues, 8 issues. Second series I wasn't as big into, but I still enjoyed the story as a whole. And got, like, anything that gets to show Joker in a new light, I think is usually entertaining and good, and this was a definite entertaining story. And highly recommend it to any one of you out there. If you're into the Batman, if you're into Joker, if you're into any of the DC kind of stories, this was from the DC Black Label, so a lot of those Black Label stories have a lot more mature themes, and this one was definitely up there with it. Now, Michael, what was the last book you got into this week?
My second one, right there, Dark Knight Metal. DC event like no other one. I'll push Batman, Superman, and the heroes of Justice League beyond their limits to take on threats unlike the world has ever seen. Takes combined might of the world's greatest heroes before coming their way.
And this ties in with a book you actually picked up last week with the Red Death comic book, which was a prelude into the Dark Knight's Metal. Now, you only have issue number 1 here with us.
I got that one because a sweet, nice person, actually.
Do you really want to bring that up on TV right now?
I don't know. Someone nice gave them to me.
All right, yeah, we'll go with that. Not gave it to the show, but gave it to Michael.
Gave these to me.
So, moving on.
You missed the arm wrestling match earlier before show. It was
so,
amazing.
nonetheless, though, in all seriousness, though, Dark Knight's Metal was a great story with the whole combination of the 9th metal from Hawkman and finding out there's actually a 10th metal out there that can defeat the creatures of the Dark Multiverse. Introduction of the Batman Who Laughs, which we've discussed on this show multiple times, which y'all can check out.
Which we were talking about earlier when I got here.
Yeah, which you can check out in the archives of our show about how much I just enjoy either the Joker in Batman suit or Batman dressed like the Joker in any combination of that. So characters like the Batman Who Laughs, instant lovable characters for me. I love every minute of them. Now, that takes care of all of our new comics of the week. This is going to get into our action figure purchases of the week. And this bit right now, you're going to have to hold off on, Michael.
I know.
You've got an entire little bit you've got planned here. So let me open my toy first.
I'm good.
Because your thing is going to require a huge major discussion.
Oh my gosh.
Now, this week, I happen to bring my lovely Crush figure from the WWF S.T.O.M.P series. Now, this came out in 1997 by Jakks Pacific, and what made these so unique was, unlike most wrestling toys of the time that either had the bone-crunching action or any of those kind of features, these came with accessories, and not only did they come with, they were basically like little G.I. Joes. They were WWF G.I. Joes, and if that wasn't bad enough, and if that wasn't amazing enough, S.T.O.M.P actually stands for, and I'm going to read it off of the package here so I don't screw it up. Does anybody want to take a guess? S.T.O.M.P, what does it stand for?
I don't even want to know.
They are the Special Tactical Operations Military Police who go on missions that are... You know what? I'll just read the back of it because it's just great. Washington, D.C. Rumors surfaced over the internet suggesting that an elite corps of the World Wrestling Federation, registered trademark, may be responsible for devastating anti-terrorist attacks across the world. The United States government neither denied nor confirmed these such groups exist, but sources deep within the Pentagon provided some sketchy details of these action figures and their missions, I guess. There's a lot more to this about
a lot of
handpicking
Megaforce
wrestling.
in this. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of greatness. And you would figure, like, with as much detail there is on this back of this packaging, because there's a whole nother paragraph here explaining
gosh.
You need like binoculars.
every single
I know.
character
I thought I was just
that's
old.
in it. The best part about this, it says, please see Stomp A11 for the rest of the story. Do you know where Stomp A11 is, guys?
Never came out.
It never came. There's nothing of it.
No.
There's 3 series of these figures. No more continuation to the story beyond the next figure line that you get.
Nice.
This one is the tactical one. The next one is the underwater. And then the 3rd series, they go to space.
Hey, so you got to go to
all of
space.
yes. I have all of Series 1. I'm 1 away from
They
Series
were
2.
just way ahead of Space Force. That's all.
Oh,
it was.
dude, there's so many of these. I love these figures. They're a personal favorite of mine.
Nice.
If you are a fan of the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, you know how much these toys mean to you. Love these things.
Wow.
See, this is going to kill me because he's dead, and
I've worked with his son, too. His son is an amazing guy. Crush. Go check him out.
it's going to kill me seeing
Who
this
is that?
be open.
Crush?
Yeah, who is he? What's his regular name? Sorry.
Brian Adams.
Brian
Yeah.
Adams. Brian
Yes.
Adams. That's I couldn't remember.
Yep.
He
His
came
son
out as the 3rd part of Demolition,
Yeah.
then went
Yep.
solo.
That's I couldn't
And
remember
then it was
his
a
name. Sorry.
member of Chronic. He's
Yeah.
done a lot of great things in his career. He was a member of the Nation of Domination, which is depicted in this action figure form in 1997. His son, Royce Adams, is an amazing dude. Shout out to you, Royce. You're an awesome dude. I love you. But we're going to open my Crush figure now. Let's do it. Oh, yeah. This bad boy
crush
has
it.
not
Crush it.
seen the light of day since 1997. Pop that out, and there goes the Stomp packaging.
Almost.
There is his little tactical vest, his tactical gun, and his tactical booties
I gotta say the vest
is what
is
seals
very.
the deal.
It's very NRA Avenger. It's
Yeah,
definitely.
and there goes that one. Now, this isn't even the best figure out of the line. Out of
Well,
all,
yeah.
even just like Series 1, not the best figure, because the best one is Ahmed Johnson. We'll open that figure here in the next few weeks, because I've got a lot of great toys
I'll
to
tune in
open
for
up.
that one because that one is wow.
Yeah. If
Wow.
you ever wanted to know what not to do in action figure creating, that toy is it. Look it up. Stomp, WWF Stomp, S.T.O.M.P, Ahmed Johnson, and yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But there we go.
Oh,
Crush
yeah,
is
the gun actually fit.
Yeah,
No.
the
No.
gun fits.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah, it just doesn't
Wow.
fit, so he has it on his trigger
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
But
that's nice.
There he is, Crush.
I feel safe now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely, well, maybe not as safe as we can be here.
There's some friendly fire going on here. So,
All right,
all right, enough of that.
right there.
All right, before I go into mine,
There is our Crush figure. There we go. I love this toy. I love these toys. They're pretty amazing. 1997 Stomp. Like I said, I am only 1 figure away of having all of Series 2, and then I need all 8 figures and the special edition figure for Series 3 and to complete the
Nice.
set. So yeah, I'm excited for these. I love these toys. But Michael, I believe it's your
yes,
turn.
but before I go into mine, actually, Moshe asked me if I could mention something. He works at Coliseum of Comics in Orlando.
Oh, nice.
And they're running special, so if you live in the Orlando area, this is good for you. They're doing a special 3 for $30 on trade paperbacks.
Yeah, I saw
for
that.
the quarantine. They're also doing 10 new comics for $39.99 with free shipping right now.
oh, that is really awesome.
And they're also doing personal shopping network. If you call them between 10 and 4 a.m., you'll actually have a person do all the picking out.
Yeah,
what you
they're
need
actually
and
doing it by
everything.
video. They're
Yeah.
actually like showing you the walls and stuff. It's pretty
So
epic.
he asked me if I could shout that out, and I definitely will. There you go, Moshe.
and there's your shout out. But let's get on,
Now, for my toy of the week, I physically don't have this right now.
because it's not even in
It's
your
not even
possession.
made yet. So we talked about before. I love Spawn. Todd McFarlane's my superhero. He did the Kickstarter for the new reissued Spawn figure instead of the old little 6-inch or like 8 inches now. And there we go with the photos of that. So there's several ways you can get this on the Kickstarter. You have the $40 version, which comes with just the figure and his weapon. Comes with a comic, an update comic from the original version. But
Which
also,
this figure particularly, we see right there, there's the original one that was
Yeah.
on the left-hand side.
So-
That is the new redone version
Yes.
for 2020. And this is something that we heard about over at the New York Toy Fair
Yeah.
not too long ago. Todd was huge about this figure.
So you have the $40 pledge, which you can either get the normal outfit he's wearing, or you can get the stitched one, where it's like the little stitch to the mask, or you can actually get the black and white version, which is pretty cool. I did the upgraded one. I did the $80 pledge, which is autographed, So you're going to have a little plaque that's autographed, comes with an additional weapon and everything. But then he also did a 3-pack where you can get all 3 of them. But when I first did it, let me scroll back up. The pledge was for $100,000 is what they were looking for. Within 2 hours, they were at $250,000.
Yeah, because when he had announced this at Toy Fair, he wasn't even expecting for this to sell the way it had.
Within 24 hours, it hit $1 million.
And this was one of those things, if you remember us talking about the New York Toy Fair a few months ago when it had happened and stuff, this was one of the major toys that we had talked about, because since this toy sold well, Todd has already started talking, before it was even sold, of how he's going to redo all of the toys in Series 1 through this Kickstarter campaign.
Which is a great way, because Todd mentioned in an interview the ways you could buy his Spawn figures originally were like KB toys and stuff
all
like
these
that
specialty
that
toy
are
outlets.
no longer there. So you can't really go to Walmart and buy a Spawn figure.
Yeah, that way it would be direct market now.
Yeah.
And the comic shops are choking to death
And
on
he didn't have the
Funko
rights
Pops, so.
at the time to actually release it on his personal website to sell. So he bought the rights back to sell his own toy. So he did the Kickstarter, and since it hit $1 million, they added a feature where you got additional hands for them so they can hold weapons. Then once it hit 1.2 million, where is it?
Yeah, they're up to like 1.4 million right now. There you see on the screen.
It's at $1,379,000 right now.
Yeah,
And it's
with
not even a week
23
yet.
days left to still back this. So if you wanted to pick up this brand new Spawn action figure, this is the way to do it. If you own that original figure, this figure puts that one to shame. Way more points of articulation.
This new one's
larger
gonna have
than the
about
last
20.
one.
It's going to be 2 inches bigger, it looks like. 20 points of articulation. It's going to come in a special collector's box. The plastic that comes around it you can actually take off, and it's reusable. Put them on the shelf, display them.
Yeah, and we've
I
seen
got
this
the
figure.
autograph one, so I'll have the autograph
And
plaque.
once again, we saw this. If you want to go see what this figure looks like, you can go look up New York Toy Fair from this past year and see Todd talking about this figure specifically. And one of the things I wanted to bring up about this figure is this reminded me about the Star Wars Jabba the Hutt's barge that came out not too long ago. It was called Back the Barge for a lot of fans because Hasbro, the company that currently owns the Star Wars toy distribution rights, decided they wanted to create Jabba's barge. Like an actual playset that looked like it did from Return of the Jedi, which had like little quarters for Jabba the Hutt, like exactly screen accurate to almost a T. And they thought, this thing won't sell. We don't have Toys R Us. We don't have Kmart's. We don't have any of these specialty stores anymore. So they went about the Kickstarter way. I believe it was Hasbro Pulse was the name of the website that you could purchase it through.
They've also done a Unicron on there, too.
Yeah. Unicron didn't sell as well as the barge.
They got funded.
I didn't even know that one. And that one was just announced at Toy Fair this year as well.
may have Kickstarter.
The other upgraded, you did that one? When it hit 1.2 million, you remember the little plastic chains Spawn had on them? They're actually using real chains now.
Nice.
Yeah, and like if we can go back to the website, the Kickstarter, just within the past couple of minutes of us talking about this, there you see the numbers just jumping up. It was 108 on the last 3 numbers there. Now it's up to 488, 486, like I'm looking
Over
at.
10,000 backers.
Every second, this thing just keeps going and going and going. And like I was saying about the barge and like Unicron, this is the future, guys. Like, if you're a toy collector, you're going to see a lot of this coming in the future. There is no more Toys R Us. Let's be real. The one shop that they have in New York right now doesn't hold a candle to the old Toys R Us. I'm a wrestling figure fan. There's not a single wrestling toy in all of that Toys R Us, which is a travesty because wrestling figures have been part of Toys R Us since the beginning of wrestling figures. Then, like, look at the Star Wars toys. Look at all these specialty toys that are coming out to market.
But this is
crowdfunding is going to be the way to get some of these things.
The board game market, the role-playing market, tabletop, anything.
The best way to go.
Kickstarter is becoming, you can't get the funding. Oh, now you can.
Because you're just going
you can prove
directly
there's a
to the
market out
to the
there.
fans.
Prove there's a market out there. And but again, remember, not all these are when they get funded don't always come out. But that's become so few and far between now.
Yeah, it really
But,
depends the project and how big it is.
Yeah.
Because if it is something like Star Wars Spawn, if it already has a deliberate a name attached to it, if it's a franchise,
probably a good chance it's
going to sell and going to sell. Like
If it
with the
gets
Star Wars Barge, I knew people who were buying that. And probably were buying the Spawn figure as well, just so that they can keep more coming. Because if you're a fan of these things, this selling or this particular item selling might mean that they'll take a chance over here with this particular, like, once again, I'm a big fan of wrestling toys and stuff like that. If they were to do these S.T.O.M.P figures, or even, let's just say, big fan of the WWE Retro figures. I literally went out and spent ridiculous money to get the entire WWE Retro series from Mattel when it started coming out over the past couple of years because of how much I love the original Hasbro toys. I can't own every single Hasbro, but I own every single Retro. Yeah. You tell me that they're going to release another 6 Retro figures on a Kickstarter and buy them all off the Kickstarter or individually, however you. I'll back the Kickstarter because I'm getting the figures I want. I'm getting them directly to my house and not having to worry about the middleman of is it going to be in stores? Am I going to have to hunt down the chase? It's all taken care of. One quick shot.
So we still got 23 days. It just went up more. 23 more days for the Kickstarter. Fun fact about McFarlane, did you know he's in the Guinness Book of World Records?
Probably a couple times.
Yeah.
He got put in it last year. Actually, New York Comic Con, they had the ceremony for Spawn being the longest running comic that's owned by a single person.
Right. I know that our Nights of the Dinner Table we talked about last one. They were so close, and it's like, but they took a year off, and Spawn didn't. So.
But this is going to bring us now to our next topic, which is going to be our cosplayer of the week.
Let me scroll back up for that. Here we go.
All right, our cosplayer of the week is Visit My Cosplay Area 2000 on Instagram. They've got a lot of wonderful photos that they have shared with us, so let's get to it.
Oh, nice.
So the reason he got into cosplay was 3 years ago. His friend got him into it, and he hasn't stopped since. His favorite cosplay is the animated Blade.
Heck yeah.
He loves to cosplay because it brings a lot of fun, the adventurous side of you, who you can be as a different person without people judging you. And it also makes you feel like a celebrity for a day when people's reactions are wanting to take photos of you and everything. His future cosplays, Scorpion, RoboCop, Shredder, Dr. Doom, which we saw that cosplay last week, and my personal favorite, Meteor Man.
Meteor Man.
No,
that right there, I want to see.
I am thoroughly sad because you're going to do a Michael Jordan Space Jam, but you're not going to do LeBron? Come on now. LeBron's here heading up the franchise now.
We don't even know what that's going to look like yet.
Yeah,
it's going to look like LeBron James in a Space Jam Looney Tunes jersey. What do you think it's going to look like?
We'll see what the new jersey looks like.
They've already released what the new jerseys look like. Yeah. They did a special thing with Nike earlier this summer for the...
But Jordan's better.
I don't know about that. As an overall player, I will give you Jordan over LeBron. This is going to turn into Sports 101 for a second, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. I give you LeBron over...
I'm out.
LeBron, Michael. All right, Michael
Jordan,
over LeBron. Okay. Michael over LeBron any day of the week.
Watch those ratings just tank right
simply
here, guys.
for the flu game. We're in the middle of the coronavirus. I want to see somebody do what Jordan did when he had the flu.
Right.
Nobody will do it because there's not another player like Michael Jordan. I'm sorry. But we're going to continue this. That is our cosplayer of the week. Time to move over to our character spotlight of the week. And this week was actually a suggestion from our good friend over to my right, Mr. Mark Muncy.
Where? Oh, yeah.
You suggested this one for us and actually provided us with a lot of resource material.
Yeah, because it's one of those ones that not a lot of people know about. But it's one of those, we used to joke like Buckaroo Banzai and Hawk the Slayer. The right people knew about it. That was the key.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the key. And then if they liked it, then they were like, these are the kind of people you can hang with. If they didn't get it, then they're okay, understand. But then if they were just like, this is crap, then you're just like, okay, these are the people I want to avoid.
And the way for you to get into it, like we've kind of gotten into it, is by visiting the official website for O2STK. There you see O2STK.
Others Too Secret to Know.
Organization Too Secret to Know. Thank you very much, Mark. That is what the anagram stands for. And this is where you can actually pick up everything about the middleman.
Yeah.
And this is a very very unique series because Mark gave us all 12 episodes of the TV show for me and Michael to watch over the past week. I've watched them all. Michael is still stuck 10 minutes into episode 1, but that's a whole nother story. But what was unique to me about this comic book series is the fact that every bit of continuity that has come out for it, there is the very first volume, which came out in 4 single issues to cover this story, which was inevitably put into a trade paperback called Volume 1, the Trade Paperback Imperative. This and the TV show all connect to one singular universe. You don't really get that with Marvel. You don't get it with DC. Nope. You don't get it with Image. You don't get it with anything.
Valiant,
Valiant, like you name a company, they don't do this. So the first 3 volumes are all the first half of the story. Then you get the TV show. Then you get the 13th episode of the TV show, which turned into a comic book. Then you get a crossover. So we'll go all the way to Volume 1. Mark, take it away. You know more about this universe than any of us.
When your world is constantly under attack by aliens and talking monkeys and and just anything you can imagine, any evil reality, evil villain that wants to take over the world, you have the organization Too Secret to Know has a group that works for them called the Middleman. Just one guy, and he takes care.
A man and his apprentice.
Well, and then he picks up
the story.
He picks up a temp, Wendy Watson, and she's a out of work artist, struggling, young 20-something, can't get a job steady, so winds up
going through a little bit of an artistic block too. Because she wants to be a painter and is unable to actually come up with the inspiration to paint.
Right.
I mean, I find it hard to come up with inspiration for a comic book TV show, let alone trying to paint each and every week.
Yeah, an artistic expressionist, and she's she gets recruited by this organization because she's a lab she's temping at. They're re-scrambling your DNA, and there's a monster escapes, and she doesn't bat an eye, grabs a knife, starts stabbing it. And then the middleman comes in and says, cool under pressure. And the middleman takes that as a, hey, most people would either A, become lunch, or B, screamed and had a heart attack. No, you took, advantage of this impossible situation and you reacted. And he's like, so he recruits her. And together with Ida, their surly robot, who's stuck in Schoolmarm number 2.0, which is a great running gag in the series. And she's this incredible character too. And the series follows their adventures as they, were just fighting, somebody's taking out all the gangsters in the world, and the only clue they have is a banana peel. So, of course, a lab of genetically modified chimps and an escaped chimp. But, of course, there's plot twists. It's crazy.
And that's just Volume 1.
And that's Volume 1.
And then when you get to Volume 2 actually starts bringing in luchadores from Mexico.
Yes.
And there you meet the Sensei Ping.
Sensei Ping?
Who is a skilled martial artist who picks up a luchador's mask after a man he was in the huge competitive contest with just falls dead before him, and the men think that the original luchador was a part of, thinks that he's wearing the mask as a form of disrespect, so they're hunting him down. All the while, he's trying to train Wendy and everything like that to be better and more proficient in combat.
And the first, these first 2 series are incredible. And Sensei Ping is amazing. And he's the master of the Wuhan Thumb of Death. The master of the Wuhan Thumb of Death, the most ultimate martial arts attack ever. And there's a great little montage bit in the comic that they do this like battle thing, and then he actually, when they did it for the TV show later, they redid it exactly shot for shot. It's amazing. So Javi Rillo McRausch, I hope I pronounced that right, Javi. He did this as just a fun side project. Javier, but he goes by Javi.
Oh, so how much I know.
He did these as a tribute to the El Santo movies. He did this as a tribute to all the old classic
and
stuff.
there's a lot of stuff that was in this particular issue and stuff that you could see a lot of that influence, and even more so by the time you get to the TV show.
Yeah.
But from there, you get to the volume 3 of this particular series. Now, what they would do with this one is this was actually its own little graphic novel, but then they would decide, let's take volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3, slap them all together, and on the right-hand side, the one where it just says Middleman, that is the main cover you can pick up today as a trade paperback that connects volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, which leads into the TV show. Now, in this comic in volume 3 is the first time you see the organization known as Fat Boy, which would play a little bit more of a hand in the TV show toward the later episodes. But in the TV show, pretty much volumes 1, 2, and 3 are right there in a retelling in a more cinematic kind of way.
Yeah, but it is almost shot for shot. It's amazing. The jokes are note for note, and they translated it perfectly to the screen.
Because when the Middleman was created, Javi created it, not Javier. Javi created it for. Sorry if you're watching, sir. It happens. I'm horrible with names. It's the one thing people learn about me right off the bat. But anyway, when he originally created this graphic novel, it was actually created as a pilot for a TV show with the same name, same plot, same everything. Because when he got the option to make it as a TV show, he literally took the pilot he wrote that became volume 1 and made that the pilot episode of the TV show. And you would see throughout all 12 episodes of the Middleman TV show, every single thing that is in volume 1, 2, and 3 of the comic book gets played out in some way, shape, or form throughout the TV series.
And there's running gags through each episode that are just amazing. It's so smart. It's one of the reasons I fell in love with it. Is it doesn't play down to the audience.
If you you are into the know of the joke, it just makes it better.
It makes each episode better because they'll do like a theme. One of the episodes early on is an Earth elemental. So all the theme gags in the thing are all based on Dune. So it's like Frank Herbert Junior High School, and and the characters are all like Atreides, and all the names in the episode are from.
So when we got to the Luchadora episode, which is like the 3rd episode, a lot of the masks and stuff that the luchadors would wear are from some of the popular luchadors down in Mexico, like Tenables Jr. I saw a couple Blue Demons, El Santo,
Mil Mascaras, and there was, and there's even a joke about him.
About Mil Mascaras, which I even had to go into and be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
All right. No, that checks out the Spanish.
Yep. It was the man of 100 masks.
Yeah.
And
how like, bad can that be? It's just a guy with 100 masks. No, he actually cloned off. Now he's 100 guys with one
cursed
mask.
by an Aztec mummy, which is a classic old El Santo movie. So now he's one guy with 100 identical men with one mask, and you got to fight him.
Yeah.
And then he's
still got 25 left. He's
all right. But it's just. It's amazing. And then the show, ABC Family, it was right at the time the Disney buyout. Disney was buying Marvel. Disney was, doing all that. So they didn't need this comic book show anymore. And they were just,
and even then, if you
they
look
were becoming
at the
freeform, I think, at the time.
Even then, the content of this particular TV show, The Middleman, and you look at some of the other shows, this one was way more tongue-in-cheek kind of comedy kind of thing, where most stuff you find on ABC Freeform is a little bit more of a serious drama kind of thing. Even when there is some comedy to it, it's still a little bit more.
It was
serious.
It was an odd fit, and the fact that it was on that channel at all was weird. So it disappeared, and we were all sad because it ended before the big season finale was supposed to.
Because now there was originally contracted for 13 episodes of this TV show to be made. They got to airing episode 6, decided a little bit against it, but meanwhile the production crew had already filmed 6 more episodes. So they're about 12 episodes deep now with 1 more to film, and the studio pulls the plug and is like, no, that's it, no more. So what's a company to do? What's anybody to do at that point? I think the smart thing to do is make a comic book.
Well, what they did was I think it might have been an early Kickstarter, or it was definitely either Indiegogo or Kickstarter in the early days, and they came up with the last episode. The script was done, everything was ready, and they did, if they got high enough, they were going to make the comic, which they did, and then they even did a big, since they were doing the reunion panel at San Diego Comic-Con, they had the whole cast come on and read the comic script. So you had the audio for the final episode. And that was amazing. And that's on YouTube. They posted it. The comic is incredible.
And there you see the cover to this comic. And this takes place a sequel, the 13th episode to the TV show. Now, you guys are sitting there asking yourselves or asking us, hey guys, you said this all connected. How does this connect if you're talking the comics over here and the TV shows over here? Well, after the 13th episode got its comic form, they decided once again to go to Kickstarter, and this is where Volume 5 kicks in.
Yes.
It's the Pan-Universal Parental Reconciliation.
You gotta love the titles.
Gotta love
the titles.
There's the cover of the book.
They brought the comic book Middleman and comic book Wendy together with TV show Wendy and TV show Middleman and did a crossover to end all crossovers. And again, this was so successful, they did another panel at another Comic-Con and had the cast read one as well.
Yeah, and actually, if you go to the O2STK website that we showed you at the beginning of the show, or the beginning of this segment, you can go on there and find both of these interviews underneath, I believe, the media section of their website, and you can check those out. There you can see all 5 volumes of the comic that you can pick up. There are the 2 panels that you can go and check out. You can pick up the DVD, and then there's also another book that ties into all of this, not necessarily a comic book, but a hand guide, if you will, to what it takes to be a proper middleman, which they never really get into in the TV show.
That's the joke. She's going through the training. She's a temp, and she's going through the training, and that's the joke. It's all about temp employment, which I've been doing while we've been on furlough from my main job, and which has been fun. But it's, and I identify with it so much in this. The DVD was amazing. Shout Factory did it. And
Shout Factory does a lot of great DVDs. If there's ever a company to produce great TV show DVDs and box sets, Shout Factory is your crew.
What's great is the DVD cases have the fake IDs that they use for all the episodes on the backs.
They look like files.
And they look like files. And then it came with the Getting to Know Your Truth Bomb user manual, which was the little notes guide, and it's done hysterical. And anyway, it's a great show. I mean, if you love, what are all the shows they parody? Escape from New York, Ghostbusters.
There's a ton of references.
Tons of Doctor Who.
And it's one of those things, like
Dr.
we were
Bonsai.
saying, it's, if you get the references, like once they start talking in the show, like there's moments like during the Ghostbusters episode or the Ghost episode and stuff where they whip out their ID badges. I'm Dr. Spangler, this is Dr. Stantz, and we're here from such and such company.
And they're at Reitman University.
Yeah, we're from Reitman University.
Like I said, there's subtle stuff. There's some stuff they hit you over the head with. That's the joke. But then there's the subtle stuff that you're just like, oh man, I can't believe it went there. And there's a Wilhelm scream in every episode.
Yeah, like when they do the awesome, Escape from New York, Escape from LA episode, it's the 12th episode. My favorite episode out of all of them, hands down, because of a lot of the content that was in this one and stuff like that. You really get to see the impact of what Fat Boy, the big evil organization, what they're going to be doing, or what they would have done. And one of my favorite actors of all time, I don't remember, you know his name off the top of your
Mark
head.
Shepard.
Mark Shepard. He is by far one of my favorites ever. He, like, to list it off, he's in Firefly. He's in Battlestar Galactica, Supernatural. He's in Middleman.
He's in Charmed.
Leverage, Charmed.
If you need basically, if you need a guy to go play the most evil of evil, hire this guy.
Yeah.
Because that's the best you're ever going to get, because he's just that good at his job. To the T, they literally hire him to be the devil in the Supernatural series.
Yep. And, in Middleman, he plays manservant Neville, who's basically Steve Jobs, only even more evil. And
but even then, the way they kind of portray it in the TV show he was not
building up.
Even then, he wanted to build up a corporation to make the world a little bit better of a place, and inevitably give the power back to the people. Other people on the other side, who were his right-hand man, did not want that, and that's where you kind of see how very easily a situation like this can go. We always see it hanging behind Michael's side here, the V for Vendetta mask and graphic novel. It reminded me a little bit of Sutler in that series, but a little bit more of a secret Sutler. Like, talk about a game. Like, that needs to be a board game, Secret Sutler.
That would be good.
Just off the title alone. But anyway, that kind of character, I saw him playing with this Fat Boy character.
Yeah, and that's exactly, and then in the 13th episode, you see where he could have gone with it.
Yes.
And he becomes the ultimate mastermind, and he's really been Lex Luthering the whole thing, pretending to be the good guy while doing all this. And
another thing that I absolutely
the audio, when he does the reading of it, it's incredible. When he gives the supervillain speech, because every episode they give
Yeah.
us, the supervillain gives the speech.
Except for that one guy who's his doppelganger.
Gave it to
Whole thing. You gotta see it.
They do a supervillain speech, and they always have the same line. My scheme is sheer simplicity. And all this. He has it flipped in the comic and makes it this new extravagant one, and that was, if they had gotten the second series, that was going to be the new phrase for the second series, and they replaced the Wilhelm scream with something else,
something in
it, another classics. Yeah, something in its sheer elegance and its simplicity.
So it would be,
my plan is sheer elegance and its simplicity.
So this
and his
one would
is
be
sheer
simplence and its elegance.
Oh no, it's oh god, now I got to pull it up. Sorry, give me a second.
Well, while he looks
I pull it up.
One of the other things I was about to mention in this that I absolutely love is they took a Stan Lee go-to of giving characters double-lettered names. Yes. So Wendy Watson, we would see it more famously with Stan would do it like Peter Parker and stuff like that. They would always have two letters. Yeah, the two first letters are the same, and you see that with almost every single character in this particular show, is they always have the two letters, no matter what the letter is, first and last name will begin with the same letter. Yes. One of the other characters that I really loved was the kid who played the guitar.
Oh, Noser. Noser is amazing.
I thought Noser was a great character as well, because especially like every one of the first episodes you see, he makes reference to Shaft.
Yes.
And then when you get to the Apocalypse episode, he makes the same references, but is dead serious on you get them all right.
Yes.
Or else he knows you're not legit. And I thought that was a really cool thing that they did with that particular character inside of this particular
and its
TV
draconian
show.
complexity. Is the twist on it for the new villains, but incredible series, highly recommend it. They're still around, Viper Comics, and
and once again, we just showed you the website. You can go to o2stk.net, I believe is the actual official one, yes, .net, and you can go over there. You can pick up Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, the special edition book, Volume 5, Volume 4, and the TV show, all off of that, and they all connect in Volume 5 and one grandiose plot. Well, that's going to...
And we finally find out what happened to Wendy Watson's father.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us on this week's episode of Comic Book 101 TV. Thank you for joining us. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with us, so we're thankful. I have been your wonderful, beautiful, prettiful host, the Princess of Weird, Josh Johnson, and of course...
Michael Stanley, cosplay in Tampa Bay. I got no nickname.
Yeah, the friendly Wookiee. Yeah. And, of course, our good friend...
Mark Muncy from Erie, Florida. We'll see you on the other side.
We'll see you all again next week.